Okay, cool. I think it just started recording. So I guess we'll just keep going from where we were. We were talking about confidentiality. Um, so I'm going to share my screen again. Um, with confidentiality, you know, we kind of just sometimes we may discuss cases just for the purposes of helping each other out as therapists. The key, I guess, caveats to confidentiality are if you mention to me that you plan on hurting yourself or others, I have to report that. Okay. That's really important. That's just for safety precaution of yourself and, those around you. I'm also a mandated reporter to Child Protective Services. I don't think you mentioned you had kids on the intake, but in any case, if I hear of any mention of children that are being abused or neglected, I'm also required by law to report that. And then sometimes for insurance purposes, pretty much, if the insurance is paying part of your bill, sometimes we have to give them diagnosis reports. But outside of that, and I don't think you're here by court mandate, so that shouldn't really apply to you. But outside of that, really everything else that we talk about is going to stay with us. So I think the biggest two things that are going to apply to the situation potentially could be that if you ever mention that you want to hurt somebody else or hurt yourself, I will have to report that. So I just want you to know that. And besides that, yeah, everything will be between us. I mean, feel free to voice whatever you feel in this space. Have any questions, comments, concerns about that before we really get into
I
it?
mean, that's a lot of words. So like you
Yeah.
can't tell Ford's anything I say, right?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah. Oh, your job is at Ford?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
I just got a job at the Ford's plant
Yeah,
around the corner.
congratulations. That's awesome. No, I cannot tell them and don't plan on telling them. I want, anything you discuss here for you to feel like you're in a safe environment, and can really truly speak your mind. So yeah, if you want a copy of this, definitely I can send this your way. I just like to kind of put it up there and then talk through it so that, because I do know it's a lot of words, right? So sometimes it's easier just to kind of explain piece by piece.
No, I don't read, so I'm not gonna read that.
Okay. But do you understand kind of a gist of it, or do you need me to explain anything
Yeah.
more? Okay,
Yeah, I
cool.
get it. I get it.
Cool. So yeah, definitely don't plan on speaking to Ford anytime soon. um, just give me a second. So today, what we're going to do is what we call an assessment. So we do this every time we have a new person coming in, to kind of just gauge where you're at, and also kind of set, your own goals for yourself in terms of like what you want to get out of, our services and coming here and speaking to me. So we kind of just need to, start the conversation, get a baseline, see where you're at, and then we can, make a plan for how we're going to proceed kind of as a team to help you out. All right.
So is this
S-
like a test?
so it's definitely not a test. No, there's no grades, there's no scores. It's basically like us getting to know you. That's
Okay.
essentially what it is. So if you could just give me a second, trying to organize all these screens everywhere. Um, so you did an intake form, correct? Where you kind of filled out like some basic information. I just wanted to go over some of the stuff before we really get into it, just so I make sure I have your correct information. Um, your full name is Lucy Popa. Is that how you say
Mm-hmm.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. You're 30 years old, and you work at Ford Motor Company, and your relationship status is currently single, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
I'm talking to people, but like I'm single.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, got you. So, I guess why don't we start off with just why you came in today?
Well, I don't know. So the Fords gave me that packet for the insurances,
Hmm.
and I haven't had a doctor in a long time. And it said that I had therapy on there. And ever since, I don't know, maybe it was when I started my job, but it could have been before that. I just haven't been feeling like myself lately. So
Okay.
I don't know. My parents don't really want to hear it anymore. And my best friend Cheryl just, if we're hanging out, we just want to drink and like chill. So I don't want to put it on her anymore. So I just thought like maybe I try this out because I saw that it was in that coverage table. So I thought I'd see what this is about.
Um, okay, so you mentioned you don't really feel like yourself lately. Um, what does it mean for you to feel like yourself? Like, how do you see yourself in terms of kind of that sentiment? Like when you're like, I feel like myself.
I like to, like go out and like just chill and have fun and hang out and I don't know. Lately, I just want to like go home and sit down in the basement and like watch some TV or something. And I don't know. I've been watching a lot of sad movies lately. Just like I feel like weepy, so I could just kind of cry a little bit. And I don't know. It's just been tough at work, so it's just it's just been different.
Um, and you mentioned you just started working at Ford.
Yeah, about 3 months ago.
Okay, so that's fairly recent. Um, would you say that has coincided with how you're feeling? Like, were you feeling not yourself before you started working there, or after starting the job?
I think that before I was working the job, well, before I was working the job, I wasn't going out much anyway
Mhm.
because I didn't have any money for it. But like when I got the job, I don't know. At first, I went out a couple times, but it's just been so much, and I've been so tired. And I don't know. My parents are really on me about just everything and keeping the job. It's just been a lot. I really don't want to lose my job, and I don't know.
So you've mentioned your parents a couple times. You live with them, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
got I got 6 brothers and sisters
Oh, wow.
and but I'm the baby and so I still live with my parents and I take care of them. They're older. So my dad's retired
Okay.
and he's got some health issues, so I just take care of him. And my mom, well, she's never worked, but I take care of her too. So they just really need me to keep this job so we can stay in our house.
So it sounds like you kind of have a very supportive role in your family.
I mean, I just have to do it.
Do you feel like you get that support in return?
No, I mean, they're my parents. Like, I'm the only one left that's there, so it's not like
Mhm.
I have a choice. And I don't know, they're just they're a handful.
Um, yeah, I hear you. So it also sounds like you kind of get off work and you feel really tired and you don't have like a lot of social energy, maybe like you kind of want to be by yourself or watch um, movies you mentioned. Um, do you feel like when you get home, it's your kind of your emotional energy, or is it your physical energy that's really kind of like low?
I
What do you
mean, I
think?
guess it's both. At Ford's, it's intense. Like, I'm on the line and just I'm really tired afterwards. I'm lifting all these heavy parts and it's like I've never worked in a place like this before, but
Mhm,
I've never made this much money before.
mhm.
So, I mean, that's cool, but I'm just tired. I guess I'm always tired now.
Do you do anything for yourself that makes you happy lately?
I mean, when I'm watching movies, I'll have like, a beer or something.
Okay, so you'll have a beer. How often do you watch movies and have a beer? Like say per week?
Oh, I don't know, like a few times a week.
Okay. Um, and you always watch movies by yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, my mom, she's I mean, she's always busy. She's on the phone a
Mhm.
lot with her friends. And my dad, he doesn't really speak English very well. So,
Oh,
I mean, it's not really fun to watch a movie with him because he doesn't understand it.
where's he from?
Romania.
Oh, he's from Romania, so he speaks Romanian.
Yes.
Do you speak Romanian?
No, uh, in school, they didn't want us to speak it.
Mhm. Okay. And you mentioned you have six siblings, or are there six of you in total?
Yeah, but well, there are, but they're not. A
Mhm.
couple of my brothers are dead. They
Oh,
died a little bit ago. And then after they died, my sister Melanie, she just kept trying to like steal like their belongings and saying that they had money. And then my other brother, Ricky, he just doesn't talk to the family anymore either because my parents, they don't accept him. So I really just talk to my oldest sister Pat. She takes care of our other sister Michelle. So it's just kind of the three of us right now. But since she's so busy with Michelle, I just take care of my parents by myself.
um, so your older sister Pat, and then you're the youngest, so you have two older sisters, and they take care of each other, but you talk to them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but they're older, you know. They're in their
Mhm.
late for like my older sister Pat, she's almost 50.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. There's no point in us really like talking. I go over there and she hands me this like fancy glass of wine. I don't want no wine. I mean, I've had wine at home, but it's
Mhm.
not out of a bottle. I don't want
Mhm.
that. Like, and she never
Mhm.
has Bud Light. Like, it's not fun going over there.
So you're closer, but sometimes it's hard for you to relate to her.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I definitely think that sometimes that age gap is a little bit difficult, right? Especially as you become an adult, our lives get so different. Do your sisters actually live in the area, or do they live close, or?
they live on the ritzy side of town. They live over in Grosse Pointe. She
Mm,
married this guy, and I don't know, they got money, and their kids are like almost the same age as me. It's kind of
mhm,
weird. Like, my one nephew is about like 6 months younger than me.
mhm.
And then my other nephew is just a few years younger than me. So if I'm gonna like
Oh,
go and chill with anybody, like it's them. But it's weird to go to the bar and have them call me like Auntie Lucy, you know? Like that's just not a good look.
yeah. So are you close with your nephews though, outside of that, or?
Nah, not really.
Okay. Are there any family members that you feel really close with, or that you trust, really well, or anybody in general?
Just Cheryl. She's my friend from high school.
Okay.
I mean, that's the one who I hang out with the most. I don't know. Our schedule's just I don't know. I haven't been really trying lately either.
Mm. Tell me a little bit more about Cheryl. What she like?
She's just like me. I mean, after high school, everybody either like went off to college or got married and had kids or,
Mhm.
moved away. And I don't know, me and Cheryl, we stayed in the old neighborhood and we still hang out and we're
Mhm.
both single and we go to the same places and I don't know, we just have a lot in common.
Um, so you're both single, and you mentioned the same neighborhood. So you currently live in the same area that you grew up in.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're like really familiar with everybody and how everything works and goes. And
Yeah, we've been living in the same house since I was a baby.
oh wow, um, that's a long time. Do your parents own the house?
Well, they were going to, and then they took out one of them loans
Mhm.
and they used the money to help pay for some stuff and some bills and some credit cards and stuff. And then that market crashed. And so then after that, like they owe all this money on the mortgage and the house. I mean, in Detroit, like it's not worth much. So the bank said like it's worth like I think they said a third of what we owe on it. Like we owe so much money on it. So
Mhm.
I think that the term is underwater. So that's what my job mostly is doing is I'm helping making the mortgage payments because
Mhm.
my dad he's on Social Security from working, but my ma she never worked. She just had all the babies.
Mhm.
So we just got his paycheck and then my paycheck.
How does that affect you, knowing that kind of your parents are depending on you to help them financially?
Well, that's why, I mean, they're just on my case right now about this job because they don't want me to lose it. I've been fired a bunch of times before this, but I mean, so that's hard because like I don't want to lose my job.
Um, and does that feeling of not wanting to lose your job, is it like more internal, like you really want it for you, or is it more kind of, do you feel that pressure coming from somewhere else?
What do you mean? Like, I mean, a job's a job, right? You just
Yeah.
get it to make money to live. Like, I don't think a job's anything special.
Mhm. Yeah, and for a lot of people, that's true. So I definitely understand you. And finances are something that are really important in the country we live in, right? Being able to pay the mortgage and have food on the table. Um, and you mentioned kind of that you've been struggling a little bit. You've been not feeling like yourself lately, and then you have the job. You have all these pressures for your parents. And it made me think, like, of wondering, like, have you ever felt like this before? Kind of this situation where you didn't feel like yourself, or you were sad, um, or not feeling very social.
I mean, it's tough. It was hard when my family, when I lost my brothers, that was tough. I think it was
Mhm.
harder though than when we stopped, like all the kids stopped talking. Uh, I don't know, and I guess it was hard when everybody kind of moved away after high school. Like that 10-year reunion that happened a couple years ago was just kind of, I don't know, it wasn't very much fun. Me and Cheryl just ended up getting really drunk and then we left. But I mean, I guess, but it's really hard right now. I think work is just, it's different. All the other jobs I had were like retail or secretary jobs, but I could never keep them this long. I just would always end up getting fired. So I'm just trying not to lose it, but it's just different.
Mhm. Um, and so you mentioned your high school kind of friends or people going off to college and other places and the reunion. And you also obviously, you have Cheryl. But did you have like other high school friends that you were close with, or kind of what was high school like for you?
Well, I don't know. People made fun of me a lot. Like, my nickname was Dumbo, but my brother Ricky spread that about me because said I had big ears. I was like the elephant. So, I mean, he's not wrong. Like, I got big ears and whatever. But I don't know. I got held back early on too. So I was like older than all the kids. Like, I turned 19 after I graduated. Uh, I don't know. I don't really like it. I don't really like reading or any of that. So if I didn't have to go, I didn't.
And so you have two sisters and three brothers,
I have 3 sisters
three sisters
and 3 brothers,
and three brothers, so
but
that's seven total.
yeah, but like I said, my one sister, Melanie, we don't talk to her anymore. And then my other 2, my brothers are dead. 2 of them are died. They died. One had a heart attack. He was young. It was really like we didn't see it coming, but it makes sense because my dad has heart issues. But anyways, he died, and then he was 30. And then my other brother, Paulie, he died too. He had a stroke. That one we didn't see coming either. But I don't know. The hardest part was just my brother Ricky and my sister Melanie like going through their things, and then everyone was fighting for like what they could have, and Ricky just was taking stuff to the pawn shop. So we just stopped talking after that. But like Pat, like she didn't need to do any of that because she's married and she's got kids and a house. She wasn't fighting over money.
How important is family to you?
I mean, I think that it's like an obligation, right? Like I have to take care of my mom and dad. That's kind of how we were raised. Like respect your elders, take care of your elders. Um, it was different being the baby, I think.
Yeah. How is that? or how has that played out for you in terms of being the baby?
I don't know. I guess I was just always left out.
Mm, mhm. Um, does that kind of affect the situation you're in now in terms of how you're feeling?
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's why I'm coming to talk to you, right?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can help you figure things out as we continue through all of our sessions. And like I said, this is all just kind of getting to know you type of stuff. Usually takes time to really get into the nitty gritty and all the super deep, details and emotions that can come up in these kinds of settings. Um, and so I guess I wanted to transition a little bit because you've kind of talked about your emotional health a little bit. You get home, sometimes you're not feeling great. Um, I wanted to shift a little bit to how you're feeling physically. I mean, I know you've mentioned that work can be exhausting. Is there anything else that comes to mind in terms of how you feel in terms of your body
I'm just really tired all the time.
all the time?
I just
And
I just want to sleep.
what kind of hours do you work generally?
Oh, well, when I started, I was on the night shift, and then they bumped me to afternoons, and now I'm bumped back to days. So, I mean, right now I wake up at like 4:30 so I can drive to work because I'd work like 35 minutes away from our house. And then I get home by like 3:30, maybe 4, it depends on traffic or, you know, if they want us working overtime. It depends on like production. Production right now is a little stalled though, because like that poor parts shortage that's happening. So, but I'm working at least 40 hours a week, sometimes 50. If all the parts come in, then they make us work longer hours.
And you work generally Monday through Friday?
Yeah, well, yeah. So Monday through Friday, and then sometimes they make us go in on the weekend. I mean, but they don't want us to because then they have to pay us overtime.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, do you do you have a chance to do any exercise on your own?
I mean, my job feels like exercise. I'm lifting
Yeah,
these really heavy
yeah,
parts now and
yeah.
throwing them around, so I don't really want to.
Hmm. Yeah. Now I get that, moving all day can really get exhausting, physically. Um, how about your eating habits? Do you feel good in the way that you eat? Are
I
you?
mean, I guess I don't know. Sometimes I'm just so tired. I'll go home and pop open the box of Apple Jacks and
Mhm,
fall asleep on the couch with it.
mhm.
So we don't. I mean, food's always been a little difficult. Uh, we live around. I mean, we got fast food, so we'll get that. It's just expensive. Uh, I don't know. And then my dad likes to do most of the shopping, but we only have the one car, so that's been causing problems too. Because when we go shopping, like he drives a far ways just to go to the fruit market down the street. But it's fine. I could live off of
So,
Apple Jacks.
so who does a lot of the cooking uh, in your household, or does anybody cook at all?
I guess not really.
Mm,
Uh, my mom likes those ramens in the styrofoam
mhm,
cups, so she eats
mhm,
those all the time.
mhm.
And I guess we don't have that much cooking kind of going on.
What's your favorite food? So you
Besides
can think about it.
cereal,
Like if
uh,
you could have anything, what would your favorite food be?
I guess it's just pasta. It's easy to make.
Pasta.
Yeah, buttered noodles, buttered bread sandwiches. Take a piece of white bread, put some butter on it, put it in the microwave, pop it in there.
A staple for sure. Um, all right, let's change gears a little bit. And I wanted to go back, excuse me, sorry, um, to kind of why you're here, and what's kind of motivating you to want to figure out kind of why you're sad. Is there anything that comes to mind when you think of, what, like, why you want to change, how you're feeling?
I mean, no one really likes being sad, right? I think I'd rather just like be able to go out and have fun and just chill. I don't know.
Mhm. And have you like tried doing that lately and it just didn't feel right, or you just really just don't have the energy at all to even try?
I guess I just don't have that energy. Like the
Mhm.
guys at work, they want to go out all the time. I mean, they'll
Mhm.
go out like during shift, right? Like it's lunchtime and they'll go out to across the street to the bar.
Mhm.
But I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Like I feel like our job is just so dangerous. The other day, Heat Treat blew up and there was a guy in there. I mean, to like, and that's right next to my department. Like, just this job just doesn't feel good, and these guys like are coming in and they're all kinds of fucked up. So I just, I don't know. I don't really want to do it.
Um, have you tried? I know you mentioned watching movies. Have you tried any kind of other hobbies or anything else, outside of just watching movies or going out, to make you feel any different?
I mean, sometimes if it's sunny outside, I'll go outside, and lay in the sun. That's
Mhm.
nice. Take a
Mhm.
nap out there. Uh, I mean, the rest of my life, I guess I'm just kind of driving between taking care of my parents, driving them to doctors, and working. I don't really have much time to do anything else or energy.
Mhm. Um, so part of the assessment, in terms of, our first meeting and kind of gauging where you're at, we do want to assess for your safety. So I do have to ask, have you ever felt, like you want to take your own life?
No,
No?
no, that's something that we grew up like. That's not an option.
Mm. Um, Tell me more about that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I was raised in the Roman Catholic Church, and I think our
Mm.
parents have just told us enough that if we do that, we're going to hell.
Mm. Um, you haven't mentioned religion, um, up until this point. Can you tell me a little bit more about kind of your spirituality or religion, or even growing up with that?
I mean, I guess my parents are just like they go on holidays or like funerals, right? Baptisms, weddings. We go to like Christmas Eve mass, but we're normally all pretty drunk when we do that.
Mhm.
And even at funerals, I mean, we tailgate more than anything. So it's not really like, I'll pray to God, but I don't go to church or anything. Church also wants money. Like we don't have that money to give. So
So you said you don't go to church now. Do your parents go to church?
no, like I mean, we only got that one car, and my dad, if he wants to go to a church, I think he'd rather go to a Romanian mass, but there's not very
Mhm.
many of those left.
Mhm.
And my mom, she doesn't drive. She's never driven, so like she needs somebody to take her. And she doesn't really get
Mhm.
out much unless she's going to the doctors.
Mm. Mhm. So you drive your mother almost everywhere?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think it runs in the family. My other sister doesn't drive either, so I don't know. It's got to be like a family trait. That's just what we say and we laugh it off. Like no one drives.
So what does your mother do when you're at work during the day?
Oh, she's at home. She watches a lot of TV, a lot of
Mhm.
soap operas. Um, yeah, Ellen. She loves the Ellen. That Ellen
Mhm.
show.
Mhm.
She's really sad that it's ending this year, but she loves that Ellen show. Uh, she takes a lot of like pills. It started with, well, she used to drink, but
Mhm.
and then in the 90s when I was younger, she stopped and she just started kind of switching over more to like Oxy, and now she's more on like Ativan and, diazepam and Klonopin and Percocets, and so she really just like kind of zonks out for a while.
Is she prescribed those medicines? Sorry.
I mean, yeah, like we go to the doctor and I mean, the waiting room is always so full and she only goes back there for like 10 minutes, but they give them to her for her arthritis and osteoporosis. So she just kind of, I mean, well, she's got a couple doctors that she goes to, but sometimes she runs out before she's supposed to, and she gets all kind of wicked and angry, but
Mm. So it sounds like sometimes those can affect your mother's mood. Um, how does that affect you?
oh yeah, I mean, you don't know like who you're coming home to, right? Like, how many uppers did she take? Is she gonna be like angry? I mean, it all depends.
Mhm.
Depends always.
Um, does that does that make or does that affect kind of your view of coming home, like from work, like when you're getting off work? Is that like in the back of your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I just usually hope that she's asleep, right? Like when she's all kind of just zonked out, it's so much easier.
Mm. Um, would you say this has kind of affected your relationship with your mother?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have a relationship. Like, I don't know. She's By the time she got to number 7, she was kind of done with the whole kids thing.
Mm. It sounds that sounds like a difficult family dynamic sometimes, especially if you're the only one home, right? Um, how about your mother's relationship with your father?
My dad's really quiet. So I don't know. She yells at him, but he doesn't really say much back. He's a silent type.
Do you get along well with your dad?
Yeah, I mean, he's silent. He was like a really harsh like parent. Oh, he used to beat us with the hard end of that belt if we did
Mm.
something wrong. But I mean, we gave him a run for his money. We were hell for him. But I don't know. Now that he's older, he's in his 70s and he just kind of sits around and he does errands and he sits outside on the porch a lot and just kind of mows the lawn and stuff like that.
You mentioned giving them hell as kids. Can you kind of give me a little bit more, like some examples? Um,
I
what that
mean,
looked like growing up?
oh man, we hated school, so we just like didn't go. And if we weren't going, we
Mm,
were doing something. Um,
mm,
broke a lot of things. My brothers used to throw things all the time at each other. I'll never forget. They threw an ashtray once at my brother Paulie, and it just like cut his forehead open. But we couldn't afford to go to the doctor, so my grandpa, he stitched him up. He's dead now. He died a really long time ago. I don't actually remember him, but anyways, I don't know. We were just a handful.
mm. Um, would you say, looking back on it, that still affects you now, or you still think about those times growing up?
I mean, we can laugh about him all the time. Kind of bring him up and just laugh about all the stupid things we used to do.
And this is mostly you with your sister, Patty.
Yeah, I mean, or Cheryl and me would go out. Like one time it was spring break and I told them I was just going up to Michigan State with Cheryl and our friend Patty, the different Pat, but anyway, so she was going to Michigan State like the next year. So we lied and said we were going to go look at the campus, but really me and Cheryl, we went to Chicago and
Mm.
we snuck into all the bars and had fun. you know, I don't know, stuff like that. I guess it depended. Like if it was at home, like me and my brothers and sisters, we were fighting. And if I was like my friends, we were just doing stupid stuff, like
Mhm.
going places.
Um, and this was mostly in high school.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, after high school, we would go to Canada every once in a while because we're so close, and you can
mhm.
drink at the bars in Canada when you're 19. But I don't know, that's not fun after you turn 21. And the border cops were just ruthless. They would rip through our cars all the time. So, we just kind of hang out around home, It's easier that way. Don't get a DUI or any of that.
And it was just you and Cheryl that were doing this, or were there any other friends that would go with you guys?
I mean, in high school before Patty went to college, she would hang out. She was a neighbor though, so she wasn't like, she was just always around. But I mean, yeah, that was pretty much it. It was just me and her.
Um, so what about after high school? Kind of tell me about your journey from high school to this job here at Ford.
I mean, I guess like I said, like I graduated barely. And then I don't know, kind of kept up with the same stuff and got random jobs, worked in retail, and I worked at Taco Bell for 3 days. They fired me after I messed up the cash register. I was like $20 short and they told me not to come back. But that's good. I didn't really like that job anyways. It smelled bad in there. Um, you know, worked as a secretary for a couple different places. Got fired with that too. I don't know. I'm not really good with computers or spelling or any of that stuff. And then I ended up getting this job at Ford's and I don't know.
Um, so that's kind of your professional history, I guess, since high school. What about kind of personally, I guess, outside of work? Because I'm piecing together. You kind of were having a lot of fun in high school with Cheryl, um, and now you're saying you don't really like that anymore. But you also mentioned that you don't feel like yourself, and you felt like yourself when you were going out. So, um, just wondering, I guess, like in the time between high school and now, kind of where were you at? Do you feel like yourself? Um, did anything change? You know,
I mean, I think it was just really like this job. I mean, at first, like my shifts didn't line up with Cheryl's shift, so we couldn't hang out. And I don't know, it's different at work. It's different than all
mhm.
the other jobs I've had. So the guys are just different that I work with. So I've just been, I don't know, feeling down, I guess.
um, so you mentioned Cheryl's shifts don't line up with yours. Does Cheryl also work at Ford's, or she work
Oh,
somewhere else?
no, she works somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
She works at a restaurant. I think she just got promoted to being an assistant manager finally after being a bartender for a real long time.
That's congratulations to Cheryl. That's awesome. And you mentioned the guys at work being different than previous places. I guess they're different at Ford than they were at other jobs. Can you expand on that a little bit from?
Yeah, I mean, they just kind of hate on me all the time. They make a lot of dumb blonde jokes, and they're all kind of older. I get it, like they're true, like the jokes are totally true, but like it's just, I mean, they say stuff like that all the time, and sometimes like when I pissed off one guy at work, the next day I came in and I got bumped from midnight to afternoons, and it just feels like sometimes like working with all guys, like I feel like I'm one of the guys, but at the same time like they're just too much for me.
Mm,
Like they'll slap my butt every once in a while and they just say like really like things that I've never heard anybody say in a workplace before, and they really like to like drink and do other things and smoke and stuff like while they're working, sneaking like, a vape pen here or there. Just I guess I get it. Like I've only been there for a few months, so it's not, I'm still trying to like figure it out, but for them it's just like automatic. They just know how to do the job. So I guess they're just like bored and stuff. So it's just different and it's dirty. I feel so dirty when I come out of work. Like the oil it just like clings to my hair and I feel so grimy. My nails just so much dirt under them, like well, grease. I don't know. The steel-toed boots are new. Those are so uncomfortable. They're so not flexible. Like, it's just overall like such a different kind of job I've ever had before. And I mean, but I gotta keep this job. Like, I've never made this much money. I make $18 an hour right now, and I've never made that much money before. So like, I really just that's like the best part, you know? But it's just a job, so whatever.
Are you the only woman that works there? Or are there any other women as well?
It, yeah, I mean, in my department, like there's other people I think around, like there's other women, but I don't I don't work with them.
So
They're
you're
not
the
on my
only woman
line.
on the line. You're the only woman on your line.
Hmm.
How does that make you feel every day going into work?
Well, the other day I found out that this other guy, he got hired in right after me. He's making more money than me. And like, I don't know, but he's got to know somebody in the union or something. Uh, and I don't know, if you're not one of the guys, like it's just, you know, they can make your life hell.
Mhm. Um, have they made your life hell so far at work?
I think they just, they like to play pranks, leave stuff on machines or write things in paint pens on machines about me and stuff like that. Or one of the guys, I guess, put my phone number up like in the bathroom. So I just kept getting a bunch of like terrible text messages and pictures and stuff from them. Or like this other guy, I don't know, he brought in this baby bunny and put it on my machine. Like, I don't know why. I had no idea what to do with this bunny. Like, I don't want a bunny. But and then he got all mad that I didn't like take it. He's been asking me out though since I started. I just keep saying no.
Um, yeah, it sounds honestly really difficult to have to deal with every day um, at work. Um, I guess we can transition that in a little bit because we haven't really talked about, I guess, um, and we've talked about your familiar relationships and your friendships. We haven't really talked about any romantic interests or relationships you've had so far. Um, and I know the workplace is kind of, it sounds um, like you're not really accepted there, maybe. Would you agree with that? Or how are you
I
feeling
don't
about
know.
that?
I mean, I feel like because they joke with me and they,
Mhm.
I must be one of the guys, right?
Um, and you have people at work asking you out on dates. Is that right?
Mhm. Yeah, and some of them are married. They just don't care.
Um, do you have any love interests right now?
No, I mean, I've dated a couple guys in the past, but they both just they're cheaters. So,
Mm.
I don't know. I'll talk to people. Like me and Cheryl go out and meet people, but at this point, like I feel like everybody that's been able to be met has been met. There's no one new moving into our area. Everyone's just moving out.
Mm. Now, how does that kind of affect your outlook on that?
What do you mean?
Like, I guess in terms of romantic relationships, do you feel like you're looking for somebody now, or are you kind of okay with where you're at, or is it like something you don't really think about?
I think it is what it is. I don't really think about it. It's not like, you know, like maybe after my parents die, like that's something I can look into, but it's just something I don't have the time for right now.
Um, okay, yeah, I just wanted to touch on that just because you mentioned the guys at work um, kind of ask you on dates, and it sounds like a lot going on definitely at work, not just what you actually do on the line, but kind of the people you're around. Um, do you ever kind of like think about that outside of work, or
I
kind of when
mean,
you're off work, you're off?
I was just told that it's normal, like it is what it is. That's work. Like that's how it is there.
Do you
So
feel like it's normal, or you were just told that?
I mean, they just told me that, I guess. I don't know, like, all the other places I worked at, like, have been just so different, but none of them are like this, like, factory, right? So, I mean, that just must be how it is there.
Well, and some of my own personal, I guess, life experiences, some of the things I've learned are that sometimes normal doesn't necessarily mean that's okay, you know. Um, and I'm not saying that's the case here, um, but just in my experience as a place I've worked, things have happened to me. Really had to sit down and question, like, okay, this happens all the time and it's really normal, but that does that mean it's okay? And like, how is it affecting me? You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah, but, like,
so
I guess, but I can't do nothing about it. I mean, like, I got the HMO plan, like, I got the paycheck, I got, the 401k now, like, I'd rather have that stuff and just deal with that normal, cause like, I haven't had that before.
and so like what I'm hearing you say, right, is you wanted all these things, right? Like the HMO plan, 401k, before you didn't have them. And now you have them, but just based on what you've told me, you're not happy or you don't feel like yourself, right? Am I
Yeah,
getting
I
that right
mean,
or am I missing?
I didn't really know anything about the insurances until I got
Hmm.
this job, so
Hmm.
I just learned about that and
Hmm.
that 401k thing. I mean, when I saw that coming out of my check, I was like, "What is that?" That and
Yeah.
that FICA, I mean, I've always hated that FICA, but, like, I already got the FICA, and now I got the insurances and that 401k stuff, but, they said it's good for me, so that's cool, but, like, yeah, I don't know, like, it's just I'm not happy, but I don't really know why.
Yeah. The FICA and all that, they definitely take a nice little bite out of your paycheck for sure. I remember when I started working too, it was just like, well, wait a minute, I thought I was getting paid this, and then your paycheck looks a lot smaller and you're like, well, hold on. But yeah, they do say that, those will help you in the long run. Um, and speaking of the long run, I guess, what do you feel like right now, in this moment, what is like the thing you're looking forward to the most, or like long term, like your biggest goal or dream or desire, or like what are you working towards?
Well, I guess it'd be better if we got a second car.
Mm, why?
Well, then I could drive places, and then my dad could drive my mom places, or, like, it would just, going to the store would be easier, going out would be easier, going to work would be easier. Because if I'm at work with the car, then they're at home without the car. We don't have a lot of neighbors around us anymore, so
Mhm,
that would be cool. And I don't know. I guess it'd be cool to buy some new clothes. That'd be nice.
mhm.
Or like a hot tub. A hot tub would be cool.
Yeah. Um, so those are kind of like you're working towards getting a car, like that's what you look forward to or what keeps you going every day. What kind of car would you get or would you want?
I think I have to get a Fords.
Are you gonna make your car in the factory? It might save you some money. Um, but I mean, those are great goals to have. On a more serious note, those are great goals to have. Um, and it's always, I think, for me, like I always have to feel like I'm working towards something. Like when I'm kind of down, and I'm kind of not feeling like myself. Like for me, it's just hard if I don't feel like, well, I'm down now, but at least I'm working towards something so that like, next week or next month or next year or whatever, I'll feel a little bit happier, or I'll at least make progress. And I think one of my philosophies in kind of, the things that I've learned is that um that nobody in terms of perfection, right? Like you can't live life just always happy, right? And so um being sad doesn't necessarily mean you're not making progress, right? And this is our first session, right? We have 7 minutes left in the session, and we've covered so much, that's going on in your life already. It feels like the hours flew by, and I already feel like I kind of like have a sense of, at least a little bit of what's going on and who you are. And one of the biggest things that's sticking out to me, your situation at work is one thing, and I'm hearing you about some of the things um, that you feel like you can't change. You also feel like you get off work, you're tired, um, and the biggest thing is you don't feel like yourself. That was like the first thing you told me. You mentioned it a couple times, um, and as we kind of wrap up, and um, I want to hear kind of your any final thoughts you have. Want to talk about kind of a plan of how to proceed, but in between our next sessions, I really want you to think about like, what does it mean to feel like yourself? And also, does that mean that you always have to be happy? Right. And I know that for me, I've learned a lot about myself in the times where I wasn't happy. That's when I like learned the most about who I am, so that when I am happy, I'm like, oh, I know that I'm really, really happy, or I'm genuinely feeling good, Um, and so that's like the kind of like the piece I really want you to take away from today. Obviously, I asked you a bunch of questions and they might have felt kind of random sometimes, like, out of nowhere, but still just getting to know you, trying to piece together kind of, a holistic perspective of who you are as best we can, so that, when you come here, you can really, express how you feel in an honest way. And I can hear you and have the context of like, okay, well, I do know she has 7 brothers and sisters, and some of them passed away, and she's not close, and those things. So that when you're feeling like I don't feel like myself, I don't want you to necessarily associate that with I'm sad, because they're not necessarily the same thing. Um, and together, hopefully, as we keep going, we can work out what those two things mean for you. Um, and kind of make a plan and go through the plan, and see how that works out for you. um any thoughts on that, or was I saying like stuff that just makes no sense at all? Let me know.
Yeah, I don't know. I got lost for a minute there. That was a lot. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. I guess I'm just confused.
Mhm. um do you want me to expand on anything, or keep it simpler, or do you want to just
I
move on
think
and make a plan for the future?
simple is best, but I want to get a nap in anyways before work.
Yeah,
So,
no, definitely. I guess like the kind of the biggest things I'm hearing are that work is a huge thing in your life, good or bad, good and bad, right? Would you agree with that?
mhm.
Um, so I think in the coming sessions, I really want to explore how work affects you and benefits you, and makes you feel. Is that something you'd be interested in, or
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Yeah, but you just don't tell them, just don't
we-
tell them.
I don't even have Ford's number, so you don't have to worry about that. And then, the other piece is how that relates to you feeling like yourself. Because that's kind of the end goal is you don't want to feel sad or down every time you get off work, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I guess in the last couple minutes, is there anything you wanted to close out with? Or, any feelings of how today went?
No, I think I guess I'll just see you however we do this thing like the next time.
Mhm. Yeah. Awesome. I guess if you don't have any final thoughts, any things you want to get off your chest, um, we could just end it there. You're feeling okay, good to keep
Mhm.
going,
Yeah.
and looking forward to seeing you, I guess, next week or next session. I'm sure we're going to figure out, scheduling and all that. Always takes
All
some time.
right.
But I guess I always like to close out with like, how are you feeling physically right now in the moment, leaving? Are you feeling better, worse, looser, more tense, anxious?
I mean, I guess I didn't really know what to do, because none of my family's ever seen no therapist before. So, I mean, I guess it's not what I thought it was gonna be. So that's good, you know.
Mhm. So it wasn't it wasn't what you were expecting, or
No, I thought you were just gonna come in here, and do some some stuff or something. So that's good.
some stuff. Yeah, we don't learn the magic yet in school, or not. We don't have a degree for that yet, but we're still working on it. But anyways, thanks for coming. I'm really happy you were able to make it and take this step and be brave enough to share who you are. So really looking forward to work with you, and I'll see you next week.
And then just so we get this on recording to break character for a moment, this was a simulation recording of a uh, practice therapy session. Because we started late, we were supposed to have that in this recording.
Oh, whoops. Yes, this is a
Or well,
simulation.
yeah,
The characters presented in this are not real. They were made up.
yeah.
um,
All
you
right,
played your character excellently since we're already broken character.
thanks. That's like
Um,
every single person I've ever went to high school with
really,
and my family. Yeah, crushed it.
yeah. I honestly can't wait to play my character too. I put like so much thought into them. But you did really well.
Thanks.
Uh,
You were great too.
really?
Yeah,
Wait,
I
let me
like how
let me
you
stop
just,
recording before we really.
yeah.